Welcome to Mishna study Masachet Shabbat Perek Yud Gimal Mishna Zayin. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to speak about when you have two people that are doing a melacha, but the second person joined afterwards. Right? So Yashav Echad al Petach. One person sat at the opening of the doorway. Right? So you have a door, right? A room. A deer entered that room. Now someone comes and he sits at the doorway. Okay. He didn't fill the doorway. It was a very big doorway. Right? He took up maybe, I don't know, half of it. The deer could still exit. There's enough room for the deer to escape. He didn't, by sitting there and taking up that small amount of space in that doorway, by putting his chair there and sitting there, he didn't trap the deer inside. Now his friend comes, the second person comes, sits in the doorway next to this first person, and now the second person fills the doorway, right? Fills the space, and now the deer cannot escape. Hasheni hayav. Only the second person is hayav. It's not considered two people that did it. They didn't come and sit down together, right? The first person sat there, he didn't do anything. The second person came, and the second person trapped the deer. So the second person is going to be hayav. Yashav harishon al petach umile'ahu. Now let's say the first person came, he sat in the doorway, and he filled the doorway. He trapped the deer inside. The second person came and sat next to him. He had to talk with him, hang out. Even though the first person now got up, he left. Now what happens? The deer cannot escape because that second person is still sitting there. So how do we treat it now? Even so, only the first person is going to be hayav because he trapped the deer for a moment. Right? So he's going to be hayav. And the second person is patur because he didn't do anything wrong. When he sat there, when he came to sit down, he didn't do anything. He sat next to his friend. He wasn't trapping through the act of him sitting down next to his friend. Not only that, but the Gemara over here says, and Rambam points out in the Pirush Mishnah, when we say over here Hasheni patur, the second person, when the first person gets up, the second person is patur umutar. He's allowed to stay there. And Rambam in Hilchot Shabbat actually says that in this exact case, right? You had a deer that walked into a house. First person came, he sat, filled the doorway. The second person, right, that person's hayav. The second person comes and sits down next to him, does nothing. After the first person leaves, that second person could stay seated as is, and after Shabbat, take the deer that was trapped in the room. It's his to keep. It's fine. It's mutar for him to stay there the rest of Shabbat because he didn't proactively trap. He sat there, right? And, once the deer was already trapped. What's it similar to? A person locks his home to safeguard it from thieves coming. And what happened? It ended up being, right? He didn't know, but it ended up being that there was a deer that was locked inside. Okay, it's fine. You could use that deer. It's not considered hunting because again, he didn't proactively trap the deer.